Red VTV, following Saints' 36-16 victory against the Wakefield Trinity here this evening on Thursday night. Great to get back to winning ways, David.
Absolutely. And for the first 20 minutes, it didn't look like we were going to do it either. But a lot of patience, a little bit of luck, and then we gradually got back into that game.
I think after recent weeks where we've conceded early in games and found ourselves chasing it, I think we were solid in defence, and defensive solidness early in the season is what we built our performances on. That opening 20 minutes, we had to sustain a bit of an onslaught from. I'm trying to work out what the smoke is over there, but yeah, David Fafita was running wild, but the Saints' defence stood up to it, and it was great to see.
It was, and I said certainly defence had tightened up a little bit. I think Percy gave us all a heart attack after 3 minutes, running straight across his own line and nearly getting the ball robbed off him.
We've seen that go wrong a couple of times, haven't we?
I think certainly there's still improvement to be made. We've not got our defence back again, although there were a number of goal line defences that I thought were excellent. But we're still falling off some tackles, we're still tackling like turnstiles, and I think certainly they were making a lot more yardage in the collision and getting a much quicker play of the ball than
Was that a case this evening that Wakefield just had a much bigger side out there? Big pack, Paulie, David Fafita.
Boy, oh boy, they were
Hughie.
big. Stood on the sidelines close to the dugouts, you realise how much bigger they were than us. But most of our team stood up really well, and obviously the key thing was bringing those two young lads on with 10-15 minutes to go of the first half. That certainly changed the game.
And I was going to go on to Jack Ashworth. Came off the bench, first barnstorming run to help set up the first, then a great offload. And was our second performance of the season. I think he played at Wigan, didn't he?
Wigan. Yeah.
And he's come back in the side tonight. And if he keeps playing like that, it's going to be very, very hard, even when Justin Holbrook gets players back, to drop him.
And both he and Matty Lees really ran hard and straight. And I think most Saints fans, that's what they want to see their props do. Yeah, what a bonus. We found a prop forward who can offload. I think that might have been the first one for about 8 weeks we've seen.
I don't know about you over on the far touchline, but I was really frustrated this evening just how much Wakefield were allowed to lie on and slow the play the ball down.
Yeah, I think you probably do see it with rose-tinted spectacles for your own side, and you don't notice what we do in terms of our offensive nature. But yeah, I did think they got away with quite a bit. But hey, we can say that when we win.
I think it's a case of Saints need that quick play the ball, don't they? And once we start moving the ball with pace, then teams find it really hard to live with us.
Yeah. And when Ashworth and Lees were doing that, Roby was
off the back of them,
feasting off quick ball, and we looked a completely different side. And we were well worth our 16-0 lead at half time.
And I think that's it, isn't it? Roby, Lomax, all feasting off the back of it. It gives Richardson a platform to kick from. And yet 16-0 up at half time, and it all looked rosy. Second half, we come out, give ourselves a little bit of a heart attack, conceding first and then nearly allowing a second in quick succession just after that.
That's right. And all right, the game's about momentum, as one famous commentator used to say. We should have expected Wakefield to come out hard, but I thought for a lot of the game we were in control. And though there were times when they were pressing our line, I thought most of the time our goal line defence was superb, and it was little mistakes that were giving us the problem, where the referee was pinging us, probably quite rightly, for touching the ball, giving them another 6 at key points, or pulling us back for what he saw were
I personally thought a lot of them penalties were very, very soft in that game, and there was one he gave to us in the first half where I think Regan Grace got pushed into touch. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it, and it's some very strange decisions, and it seemed to favour whoever had possession of the ball at the time.
I think he called that as the tackle was completed, because Regan was on the floor, elbows on the floor, and then they had another go at him. So I can see that being given.
Now, second half, when we conceded them points, it would have been very easy for us to cave, especially after what's gone on in recent weeks. Yeah. But to keep coming back in attack as well.
Yeah, I said our defence at times was pretty good. Unfortunately, creeping into this game of ours, people staying down to get a few extra moments.
Louis did it.
Louis did it.
But if you can't beat them, join them.
Horo and somebody else did it in the first half to us. Took a few minutes breath when we were on the offensive. But yeah, Louis, you think
until the rule changes, where if you stay down when it's a dropout, you have to go off the field for say a set. Teams will continue to do it.
I don't see that there's a rule change that can change that. I think the only people who can change that are the players and the coaches. And there are clearly some players, senior players, if you hear Wilkins' podcast, he's very critical of that and saying the only way this will be sorted out is if we, the players, accept that this can't carry on. It's cheating. A minor form, but it's cheating.
Yeah. Other performances tonight, Ben Barber, pretty solid under the high ball, didn't do anything, a lot in attack, set up one, but looked a bit more like his old self.
Yeah, obviously teams have tried to make sure that they're stacked up against him. I don't think he was sparkling tonight, but hopefully this enforced layoff now with the Challenge Cup final coming up will give all the players, including Ben Barber, a little bit of a rest, and hopefully we'll be coming back because we've got a rather important fixture next up.
Hopefully now that will settle the fans down, because we've gone from being we're going to win everything to all of a sudden we're the worst team ever.
Well,
we're somewhere in between.
We're so fickle as fans.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? We've just put ourselves 10 points clear at the top of the table. Regardless of what happens to Wigan at the weekend, we go into a derby match now where a win will either see us guaranteed top spot essentially on points difference because we're over 200 better as they turn the lights off. Or if Wigan don't get a result on Saturday, we can actually pick up the League Leader Shield at the end of that fixture should we win. So
that would be quite enjoyable, but equally Wigan will be thinking we'd like to stop them from doing exactly that.
How important was it tonight, after the two defeats, not to go on a hat-trick with 2 weeks off?
I think so. If you look at the reaction on the forums over the last few days, it's been a little bit hysterical. I think people have calmed down a little, but it's quite disappointing to see on the forum today the majority of people giving us a forecast for the game were seeing us getting beat again.
I called it on the preview. I said it was 50-50. I thought there'd be 6 points in it either way because it's a tough place to come. But do you know what? We weren't spectacular in the second half, but we still won it.
And I think we were helped by a couple of moments of really good play from some of our backs. I thought Percy came more and more into the game, and obviously Regan Grace determined to get to that line. That's the sort of spirit you expect from a Saints side.
I think the thing that always surprises me that people make pre-match predictions and they say, "Oh, I don't think we're going to win. It's a tough game. I think we'll get beat." And then when we do lose, they kick off about it, even though it's what they predicted. Yeah. But yeah, so hopefully things will settle down. We looked a lot more like the Saints of old, didn't we?
We did. I'm still a little bit puzzled about Danny's kicking. I mean, clearly players aren't coming out and deciding how to play the game. They're playing to the instructions of the coach. But we seem to be putting a lot of high balls up, very deep balls that didn't seem to be troubling the Wakefield defence at all. The one time he puts a little rubber in, we get a bonus try from Luke.
Yes, but we did actually score off 2 high kicks as well, didn't they? That effort from Tommy Makerton in the first half to get there first and little commando roll over the line, and then they were lucky with the grace.
They were kicks out of hand across the field, obviously aiming to get that ball dropped on the line to give us a chance. I'm talking about the kicks from deep.
Sometimes I want us to see us turn a team round a little bit as well.
Equally, I wanted to see him put the ball 5 yards from the touchline and say, "Come on, you big lads, come from there."
Yeah,
I think that might have been a bit.
And I think sometimes we give teams a little bit of a leg up. Maybe we should employ the tactics of the opposition, kick into touch and slow the game down at times as well. And
maybe so. Big raps to Holbrook tonight. I thought he judged his substitutions perfectly. If he'd have got them wrong, we'd have been critical of him, wouldn't we? I think bringing Wilkin off the bench was a good idea.
I think it was good to put Louis in from the start as well, because when he's come on after 20 minutes and give us that impact in games, we've already been behind. So to have him on from the start and give us a solid base.
And he was good value all the way through the game.
Louis was tremendous,
a really good 80 minutes. Once again, lots of Saints fans have been critical about LMS over the years. But you have to say, he's probably our form player at the moment.
We were discussing it on commentary, and he's been fantastic. We've not always been his biggest fan, but this season he's been absolutely tremendous. Fully deserves his place in the side, and it'd be disappointing if he doesn't get a contract extension the way he's playing.
Absolutely. But I said, I think there's things for Holbrook to think about with those young bucks coming on.
Well, it is.
I think they did show up. A rather staid approach that Amor and Douglas had to running into the Wakefield line. It was a joy to see 2 young lads running hard, running straight, and certainly all around me, people were applauding that as effort, and that's what you want to see from the youngsters.
With top spot essentially secured, after the Wigan game, you could potentially look to rotate the squad and bring these young players in who don't look out of place anyway.
Well, indeed, we've got Hull after Wigan, haven't we? And I mean, Hull season's just completely fallen apart, hasn't it? I can't see them being that interested in that game. but neither should we be. And the following week against Catalans, I can't see him putting a good side out there either. So I think there's a couple of games there that we can take our foot genuinely off the gas. But we've got to be ready for Warrington. We've got to be ready for Castleford in the last 2 games, because potentially we could be playing them another 2 times in the semi and the final.
But it'll make you wonder how much in them games you'll actually want to show them. Could end up a pretty stale affair unless Warrington and Castleford are actually playing for position, which we don't know if that'll be happening by then.
That's true.
But all in all, a good Thursday night trip over here to Wakefield.
Yeah, Thursday night in Sky killing the game of rugby league for attendances. 4,300 tonight. That's very poor.
I think there's probably only about 150, 200 Saints fans on that far side as well.
I thought
there was strung out a little bit.
But actually, they seem to make plenty of noise, and just rushing round to meet you, I thought, actually, there's more here than I thought.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we won't be stung by an M62 on the way.
Well, I'm sad to break the news to you, but there are closures on the M62 tonight, so good luck with that.
Brilliant. Right, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. No, we won't. It's a game that we're not playing in, so we won't see you next week. Not interested. Don't care who wins. And if you wear a Let's Support Catalan for a Day t-shirt, well,
a bit sad, really.
You're a bit sad. Yeah. Just enjoy a weekend off. Go to the garden centre with the missus.
And come back soon, Kev. We do miss you.
Well, before we go, I better say, I asked Kev whether he was going to be watching or listening tonight, and he said unfortunately not, because there was a family show in the family hotel. There was lots of exotic women dancing.
Oh my goodness me.
So never mind. Right. See you soon. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.